Prakash, I think you are on a mute, please. Unmute
Sorry.
yourself.
Yes, yes. Thank you, thank you.
I extend my warm welcome to Mr. Aniruddha Barve sir, who is the resource person for today evening. Mr. Barve, of course, will be introduced by Mr. Prakash Bade, the project director for the artificial intelligence project, which PMA has undertaken jointly with VITI. I don't think you need information about Pune Management Association, but just couple of words as suggested by Dr. Chinsolkar sir. Pune Management Association works through its 14 different verticals. We call it as Center of Excellence. Through these verticals, we extend all our activities for the benefit of members as well as non-members. As everybody, or rather you are aware, the management is very vast field. So literally encompasses all the fields under the sky. So accordingly, we have designed 14 verticals to begin with, because few more are yet to come. Right from HR to marketing, literally all the areas are covered under these 14 verticals. And the speciality of these verticals is all the persons working through these verticals, COEs, are volunteer members. Most of them are senior professionals. Not only senior, most of them are owners, directors of their own organization, and working for the, we call it as joy of giving back to the society. So this is what is the motto of people working, the professionals working for Pune Management Association. They have already achieved whatever they want to achieve in their respective fields, and now they want to share their knowledge, they want to share their expertise, they want to share their experiences with the youngsters as well as young professionals, management professionals, as well as entrepreneurs. And through these 14 verticals, they are extending their knowledge. So I take this opportunity to welcome you all for this interesting webinar, and appeal all of you to interact with Pune Management Association through our website.
Systems and IoT and IoT applications. I have been working with Barve sir for I think around 15 years. So we had very close interactions regarding the technical field and also social fields. So he's a very cool person, and knowing going into details about the technology. So he has experience on different parts of this area. He has worked overseas, who is also a certified professional on these fields. So I hand it over to him without
possible to explain AI, IoT, and automotive together. The objective today is you all know what is AI now. These words now are very common, and last decade we are reading a lot about IoT and artificial intelligence together. Now bringing them together in automotive industry, since I am in automotive industry for last 2 decades, today I will just explain how automotive industry is getting geared up for these two technologies to make their products and services better. So there are many questions about AI, how it will be useful for automotive industry. So today we will discuss only what and why. How we will not discuss, because that is part of execution and implementation, and it is very specific to particular use case. So we'll just go through the topic, and we'll understand why it is required, and what we can do, or what are the scope, what is scope for our company or our new coming engineers. So what technologies are industry looking for. So those things we'll see. So basically IIoT is a very big thing again, that is intelligent IoT, industrial IoT, sorry. And then Industry 4, you might have already gone through. Many of you might be working on those areas. Since we have audience from mixed areas, so sometimes I will be going to very basic things, but to start with, I will run through some pictures in actual automotive industry, how, and typically I have taken car. Only cars are not automotive. All trucks and every mobility thing, even two-wheelers are also part of automotive industry. But for example, I have taken car plant. So we'll go through some pictures also. Uh, so our agenda today is AI and Industry 4, then automotive industry overview we will go through, and then IoT for smart manufacturing, and then managed services also, how AI can be used for managed services. So many aspects are there. I will touch upon with to some of them, and we'll conclude, and then we'll have a question answer. So generally, AI, ML, and DL, these are the terms talked a lot about, and AI is the biggest area. The AI, artificial intelligence, started some 50 to 70 years back. In last century itself, people thought that probably machines can think like humans. And then since computers were evolving, people thought that with the help of computer, probably we can make machines think. So automation is also part of artificial intelligence, but it is not that completely thinking. We are making it a structured set of program or set of instructions, and that just executes. So machine doesn't think there. So automation is not exactly AI, but in the beginning it was like that, and people then started thinking like if they become intelligent, that will be better. So starting with can machine think, last century, then we came to machine learning. Machine learning is subset of artificial intelligence, where it works on basically statistical models or learning algorithms, where the machines and equipment will start making decisions at its own. So to train them to think like humans. So that is machine learning. So the name machine is basically coming from past century, where there were not only computers but physical machines were also there. And nowadays, embedded technology being such a small and portable, that can easily fit into machines, and MEMS like devices are there which can be embedded in the moving parts of machine. Machines can really start making their own decisions, and in that sense it is called machine learning, which is subset of bigger artificial intelligence. So if artificial intelligence is a bigger area, ML is a subset of that. And then deep learning is another area of machine learning, that is typical method of ML, which is very common nowadays, and that is also followed by automotive industry, especially when it came now to driverless cars. So we'll go through those points later. So basically any AI thing where it can see, it can hear and speak like humans. If required, it translates. So translation doesn't necessarily mean in human languages, but in translate with machine language also, and understand or perception can be made, whatever it can see and hear. And then analyze the information, make decisions, but it doesn't end there, it will improve again. So the real deep learning doesn't end, it will continue in the cycles, and then it will try to improve based on previous learning. And for that, many things like analysis of data. Data is huge in quantity, so machine has to analyze that data. So there will be limitation to your hardware and software to analyze the data in given time. So time is also important factor, and it has to make the decisions. So basically they are based on use cases, and whenever there is a large data, you have to analyze that data, filter it properly, and only useful data is to be taken. So that is skill for a designer, because data is always huge, and that is continuously adding to your cloud or whatever storage system is. And then getting relevant data from that, updating the previous decisions, and improve it in the next iteration. So that is all about deep learning. And necessarily automotive industry is now working in these areas. So that's why objective of this session today is to understand what your organization, of you are running an organization or you are making a product or services, how you can adopt to these requirements of automotive industry and go forward, or if you are thinking to go into some software area of automotives, you can think of these areas. So as we discussed earlier, this is like artificial intelligence is a bigger thing, then subset is machine learning, and again one of the methods is deep learning. So this much information is sufficient, I think, and going forward, being in from automotive industry, I'll be focusing more on automotive applications of this thing. And then IoT is also not to be discussed much, because you already know IoT is basically about a sensor set. Sensors will send data to the cloud. Cloud will compute that data and use that to make the decisions or to exchange the information between multiple parties. So it is always bidirectional communication, analyze the data and use them, filter them, and make the right decision. So that is IIoT is doing for Industry 4 applications. In addition to that, if AI or ML is applied to that, the decisions may become more intelligent. And that is the purpose of this activity together with for automotive industry, because challenges are increasing every day. So if you see now, even the two-wheelers now, what Ather has brought, or Hero Motors or Bajaj are bringing new two-wheelers. They are all electric vehicles and they are getting more and more intelligent. They are having a transmission control module or telemetric control module in that, which has got a SIM card, and they keep sending the information to the cloud. And every bike is now sending information to the cloud, and they are selling bikes in millions. So data is like coming like anything, and huge data is coming in, and that is a challenge basically for innovators also. So we'll run through automotive industry first. 7-8 slides. I'll show you the pictures, because everybody may not be working in the automotive industry directly. But as an OEM, if we say Tata Motors or Mahindra or whatever, Ford or Jaguar, whoever, so they are basically the good integrators of technologies. They are getting parts from suppliers and making their car. And whatever you see in the picture is just a car structure, and that helps any car making their look basically. They call it styling of the car. So based on the designer styling, the OEM will decide their basic structure, how it will look like, and they need to make this structure safe also, because if you see these beams and bars, they are made or designed such that in crash situation, the passengers or driver will not be affected much. And then remaining features like airbag and other safety security features will come later. But as a designer, OEM is doing only the structural part of car. Okay, so basically they are doing this, and then all remaining things you see in the car, most of the OEMs, they are buying from outside. When they're buying from outside, lots of decisions needs to be made. And currently, when you are seeing any petrol or diesel cars, general cars, not electric cars, but current cars, they will have several parts of the order of 2,000 to 4,000 components in the car. Depending on its complexity or luxury or its segment, we can say. So based on that, there will be many suppliers for the car, and we have to make such that the components come just in time to the factory, because you know the advantages of coming just in time. All those Toyota practices, Six Sigma, just in time, 5S, YY analysis, and all those things. So you basically know all Toyota practices which were started in 1970. They are still in practice, and people are still studying those for management course. And that's why IoT becomes important, because you need information now where your component is. Okay. Also, the companies are now making purchase orders based on their inventory. So they will continuously check inventory, and based on cars going out, then their rejected parts, and then required parts. So based on that, they will make purchase orders even earlier in time, so that material reaches just in time. So if you think of this complete ecosystem, you will find that transfer of information, making right decisions will be very crucial, so that you save money. And there is a huge competition in automotive. Whenever you save a single rupee in any component while design, you are appreciated, because saving a rupee, that means saving a million rupees in a year, because they are selling cars in millions. So everything matters, which you contribute towards this. So basically, automotive design is always challenging because price is the constraint. There is a competition, not only competition, but everyday features are getting added. And then you have to match those features because your competitor is doing that, but you cannot increase the cost. And that's why if you see automotive people, they are always behind cost saving and innovation all the time. So this is what car makers are doing. That is called body in white. Generally, that is made of aluminum or alloys. And OEM generally designs only this and integrate all other parts to make a car. So then the body in white goes to the assembly line where there are all automatic robots, and even those robots are nowadays using AI and ML. So basically, with the minimum movement and without any clash with other moving part, they are doing their task very easily. Okay, so while looking into pictures, you will find there is a use of AI, ML, and optimizing the things, because process time is very important. I was working in Jaguar Land Rover plant for 5 years in last decade in England. Then they were manufacturing all these things there themselves and integrating, like I said before. And there also, every 40 seconds they were making a car. That time they were in high demand, and the cars like Range Rover and Discovery you see now, they are coming on the same assembly line, because even though the segments are different, those cars were coming on same line. So there will be a few Evoques coming in, and then Discovery will come. In addition to that, they were handling 130 variants for 130 geographies. And there will be only barcode. You have to read the barcode, and based on that, the parts will be there. And assemblers and even the machines, they will put the right part on the right car. So all that takes a lot of effort, because you cannot afford to spend any single second there, because every 40 seconds one car is going out of plant. So that was the most busiest plant in UK that time. Now, due to market constraints, their demand has been reduced a little bit, but still that is a busy plant, and they are having such robotic welding stations for these body in white section. Then they come to the assembly line again. They put more parts. They start putting harnesses here and go forward. So there are many parts to be put underbody. They call underbody and upper body. So underbody parts are being fitted in the meantime, and all plastic glass components are also fitted in the mechanical or metallic surfaces. And then it goes to the paint booth. When underbody is already done, then they will go to paint booth. There also it is quite sophisticated plant, where they know which variant is that, which color and what combination. So all machines are taking care of this. Just a single supervisor will be there taking care of the things. And everywhere they are using artificial intelligence. Then those cars go into assembly line. This is a different plant, of course. They are not on same plant, but if you see, they are multi-storied basically and going very fast, and decisions have to be made very quickly. If I want to try a component from a supplier, it might be even a small component like fuse or any small lamp. I cannot do that because it has to be planned much in advance if I want to do it on the running car. Once the car is designed, generally before the release time, 6 months before, they stop all engineering development, and that is handed over to the production plant. So 6 months before engineering, you have done something, and then if you want to test something for next version, or you cannot change any design, then next year version will be there, and you can do those corrections in next year. But you want to evaluate something, you have to be very careful and plan the cars, which cars it will go in. And you know, cars are identified by unique number called VIN. So that is vehicle identification number. That is 17 character number, and that tells you everything about your car. So every car in the world will have unique VIN, and based on that, company handles all manufacturing, dealer network, warranty, then callbacks, everything. So that is important, and based on that, manufacturing is also taken care of. Then there are some more things, like they are putting other components, lighting and engine parts. They then land down to the ground floor after that, and then some other components are put on that, and like that car goes on completion. towards completion, and then they test it on the track, and then it goes out. So this is all about plant. And when you see this process, you will find that everywhere there is some scope for making it better. So those algorithms are nowadays implemented. Uh, if you want to manage even logistic here, there is very limited space to move, limited space for storage, and limitation to the storage of near side. So sides tables also, they don't have much space to keep the components. So if there is a space storage for 100 cars only, then every 100 cars, looking to the speed of the belt, production belt, you have to make sure that the next 100 components come just in time, because before there is no space there to download that your forklift or something. So whatever you bring in. So all that is to be automated, and they are doing it very nicely, worth seeing. And for that, you can see any Toyota plant video in the YouTube. They are very nicely managed. So you can see how they are using AI and ML there. So up to this, it was just introduction to plant, and we'll move to our topic again. So in automotive, basically, people think it is a hype. So why we need AI and all in manufacturing? People think it is only required in specific or specialized area. So may it be any hospitality industry, transportation, or it might be healthcare or logistics. Everywhere AI is nowadays used. People experience that, people are surprised to see the efficiency, and then people are attracted towards AI as well. But basically it is not a hype, and it is way to innovate. If we see towards it like it is an innovation, then you will find applications of AI everywhere. And that is how we should do. So there are certain steps they are following. So first is business understanding. Understanding of that business is most important, because customer doesn't know how you are going to implement your algorithms, but you need to ask customer the right questions, because in every domain you can do it better. So any current ongoing business, by using AI you can make it better. Making better means you can make it efficient, you can innovate there, and you can reduce the cost. So everybody would be interested in saving the cost. But if you ask somebody, do you want AI to be implemented? They will say, no, I don't need it, because I'm running this industry for last 25 years. Or people will say it is coming from, I'm in third generation. We don't need anything like that. But if you see all innovating businesses, they are using this practice now. And that's why the domain knowledge is very important. And blend of domain knowledge plus computer programming knowledge will make best out of person to be an AI designer. So having a business understanding and a lot of data collection is there. So from that data, you need to filter. You need to think how data is there, how much data is there, and how I can use it for my algorithm, how I can make it better, what is relevant for me. Because customer will not know what data you want. You need to tell them. And then next step is AI modeling, evaluation, and innovation. So modeling you have to do, evaluate that model, how it works. So you should have a way to test your model first. You cannot implement or deploy directly in the field. You have to have evaluation way. Either it might be Python, or might be any modeling language. Using that, you can make a model. So generally that is done by model in model loop. So one model will test other model, and then you can know how efficient your model is, or you make some changes, how improvement has been done. So that you can check and show customer, then they will be okay to go ahead, because nobody will allow us to implement something in automotive industry, because they're quite busy and everything has a cost. Okay, and then the deployment is the last step. So deployment, monitoring, and improvement, of course. So these are the steps. So generally, these are the steps for any AI, not only in automotive, but everywhere. And then questions to be asked for customer, like they want it into design area, they want in supply chain, or production support, or only for warranties, or adding modern features to your product, or V2X. Okay, V2X is vehicle to anything, vehicle to infrastructure generally. So all those areas in automotive are nowadays focused areas for automotive OEMs. And then sometimes they make a combination of these areas, and then they ask for particular AI model. And almost all companies have started working on this. I don't know any company which is not using AI now. So almost all companies have started. I mean, good brands, all OEMs are thinking of it now, and they have deployed AI. And in coming slides, you will find why it is important and why the situation has forced them to think of AI. So there should be some deliverable as well. So when you ask the questions, so deliverable is first is business case approval. So based on your right questions and understanding of business, you will get business case and get approved from customer. So there you start. So every step you have got a deliverable to customer and get approval from them. Second is business use case. So from this cloud above, they will tell you the area, which areas they want AI to be implemented, and then those areas you have to create your business case. Use cases will be multiple, and customer should have choice, or they should be able to choose from those. You should have n number of use cases, and then customer will pick up the right cases, or they are relevant to them, or they are interested in paying for that development. And then actual model is to be prepared, tested internally. That is another deliverable. And then measure accuracy of parameters. You have done everything in the model or software, but going into plant, you need to validate all those things and prove there. So everywhere, wherever you are taking a huge cost of your development, and you need to assure something that your cost will be reduced by 5 or 10%. And by just modeling, you need to know as a designer that we are going to really save something. And when accuracy of parameters is there and you can show them that saving is there, then only customer will be delighted, and they will think of adding more areas of this plant into your software, because they will not go directly for complete AI implementation in any industry. Big industries will always think of taking it partially. So like this, we'll go ahead. And then automotive connectivity is there. So all when connectivity is there, risk is associated with that connectivity. So connected with smartphone, so you will have contacts and calendars, where you are going, who are your contacts. Everything can be seen if somebody hacks your phone or your car. So anyway, by any means, car is generally connected by 3 to 4 ways to outside world. So they are connected through RF, they are connected on Bluetooth, on GPS connectivity, on internet, and then your GPS, GSM mobile technique also. So everywhere your car is connected, or components in your car are connected to the external world, so they are prone to getting hacked. So whenever there is a connectivity, there is a challenge, and AI really helps in overcoming these challenges. And you will find really it is useful that if there are many threats actually in industry, so all those risks like misleading the driver, completely stopping the vehicle, or some functionality will not work, or attack through Bluetooth or USB. Then critical functions like brake, turn indicator, or stop lamp will not work. That is a big risk for property and life. And then outside your car, infrastructure is there. So all they are connected. So cloud is connected, dealership is also connected with your car, and then callback and warranty data is also there. So all that useful data is available, and that is also important for AI applications. So all these areas you can think of using AI and avoid the risks. So manufacturing plant short supply is a very common thing, because if any single component out of 2000 component doesn't come, then car cannot be sent out. So not selling car of worth 10 lakhs just for 2 components, that is companies cannot afford, because generally companies are nowadays making cars against purchase order. So whenever you order, they will generally give in next week. And then cars are really made to order nowadays, because inventory they cannot afford much. Then logistic is another area that is on both sides, logistic for material and logistics in inside the plant as well, because from go down to manufacturing line, there is a lot of logistics involved, and then putting purchase order in the SAP. Then data sharing with IoT partners. This is last but very important, because whenever people are collecting the data, they are not using themselves only, but they are getting your agreement to use that data for other purposes. And Google, Amazon, or anyone or you generally download any app, they will also get your data. And in a hurry, many people accept that they will allow them to use it for other purpose. And generally, data is shared with IoT partners. So they generally say IoT partners, and you don't know who are IoT partners or who will become IoT partners in future. And then that could be anyone. And in that way, people know what you are doing, where you are going, and all those things. So that's why AI will help you or using your data for unintended purpose that AI can stop. So there are some challenges we already discussed, but cybersecurity is major concern. Safety and security is another concern, and manufacturing time and cost for direct monetary gains or loss. So that is also important. Then AI applications areas. So we'll see some of the areas in the car. So advanced driver assistance system nowadays, they are calling it ADAS also. Okay, so there is a lot of scope for these are IoT technologies basically connected to the cloud as well, and they are working in association with cloud. So your algorithm can also sit there along with your IoT application and help your car. So not necessary that your car ECU will be having AI algorithm implemented, because different companies implement algorithms differently. But if it is implemented by a service provider and they use it along with IoT in the cloud, then your computing for AI goes into cloud because data is also sitting there, and then you just send the decision to the car. So any make of the car, if Harman system is there for ADAS, then all those Harman systems basically will receive information from cloud, and they will behave in the same manner and standardized manner. So if issue is found in any one of the OEM brands, they will correct that and implement for all others. So that is the advantage of having IoT based AI technology, because that sits in the cloud and remotely works and just sends the decision to the car. So this is kind of one architecture. Not necessary that all companies will follow that. Some of the companies will think my AI algorithm is unique and I don't want to share with others, and I will not let others get benefited with that. So I want to keep it in my algorithm. But then there is a cost of hardware and your memory space in your ECUs in the car. So all those trade-offs they have to do based on their requirements, and people are doing that also. So navigation and telematics, certainly it works with cloud, and nowadays everybody is using that in all modern cars. And telematic solutions, especially, they are connected with GSM on your mobile, and they are also connected to the cloud. So these are all connected services. Predictive maintenance solution is something very interesting nowadays. Before you know there is defect in your car, your dealer knows that, because in time of servicing they will take either data from the car, they will download the parameters and see. So they will make the dealer aware in the advance, and then the dealer can tell the user that there is a problem with some component that is getting aging or something. They will show, and they will tell the customer to change something. And sometimes it happens like Mercedes has implemented some 10 years back only, like whenever you have a problem in component, they will not only know the failure of the component, they will check the nearest dealer. If that dealer doesn't have it, they will find next available dealer. So before the car reaches the garage, the dealer will tell this was the problem, and this is not available with us, but we have already managed to bring that from other station. So they will just coordinate with other station, and there is a worldwide inventory for Daimler and Mercedes that they will know which part is available in which dealership. So to that level, automation they have brought in 2010 itself. So even before people were talking about cloud, they have implemented through their local and national servers. So that is how predictive maintenance works. So they will support after sale support also. Vehicle to vehicle or vehicle to infrastructure. These are the big areas, because not in India, but everywhere in the world, they are all advanced countries, they are thinking of driverless cars. And when car is in the traffic, generally there are multiple dynamically moving cars around that, and most of them are not autonomous. But they will think that your car is having a driver, and which is not. So that means others are expecting that car to behave like a driver-driven car. So then there is a huge implementation of AI algorithms there, because the car, a passenger sitting in that car will not even experience that they don't have a driver. So to that level, people have achieved now, and that is called level 4 autonomy nowadays. Level 5 is not achieved yet, but if you Google, then you will find sometimes 0 to 5 levels of autonomy and what that means. Okay, so all that needs a lot of AI algorithms to be implemented, and definitely all that data cannot be accommodated in your car. So generally, they take help from the cloud. Safety and security, as you can understand well. So all those safety features are implemented using AI, especially when the car running in the front, you are into pilot mode and you didn't press the brake, the car will stop itself, because you are listening to music, or you are not aware, or you are afraid of that accident. Car will take care that you will not crash. Then real-time location update for passenger and fleet. There is a threat of cybersecurity also here, so they have to take care of this also. And then improve time and cost management, futuristic maintenance, we already discussed that, easy parking and entry to a crowded city. So example of London, especially in London, if somebody has traveled to London, there are 6 zones. So zone R1 and R2, they are quite crowded, and where their parliament and all those areas, prime areas are there, you are not allowed to take your car on working days. If you want to take, you have to pay a special toll online, and then only you can enter in central London with your car. So they have implemented in last decade itself that you have to pay that toll earlier online, and then your vehicle number is noted, and they have cameras all over. And if some car enters that those 2 zones in London, they will be fined like anything. So people don't dare even to take car in that area without paying tax. So in such area, and that's why at any time they are not having traffic jams and all, right? So people follow the rules, or they are forced to follow the rules, and that is possible only with artificial intelligence and machine learning algorithms. So they will read the number plates, they will read time, they will understand who has paid and for what time they have paid, and then only they will allow it. Otherwise, they will prevent that. And naturally, reduction of pollution is there. People don't have to wait at parking stations, and data security, of course. So all those things, and quickly we'll go through coming slides. So these are the areas where AI is used most. So nowadays, most of these features were earlier in other general cars as well, but with autonomous driving, these became more crucial. And nowadays, fatigue warning is very common. So that is coming in to avoid the accidents, because even despite of car taking all precautions, sometimes drivers are feeling sleepy on long drive, or if road is same for hundreds of kilometers, road is not changing, straight they are going, then there is a fatigue. Unnecessarily, driver thinks like playing a computer game, right? Video game. So just by noticing that your steering wheel will vibrate, or it will get heated if there is a fatigue. So artificial intelligence algorithm will recognize that fatigue, and they will vibrate your steering wheel, so you are not sleeping. So kind of those measures are taken by AI algorithm. And there are 3D maps also. So HD maps is a big task coming up nowadays. So not only roads on the Google, but Google will start showing you depth of road or slopes also. And in Indian case, we will come to know speed breakers, or if there are pits on the road. So slowly that will also come, because if you are traveling to Hinjawadi nowadays, for last 3 months, they are not correcting any particular pit also. So everywhere it is like that. So they are working around, a lot of civil work is going around, but people are not correcting the roads. Right? Very small things, but they are not taking care. So Google will sense those things and show the driver to be careful, because there is a sharp turn or there is a sharp slope. They will notice, your AI system will notice in advance, and they will make you aware. So this is very useful feature. And nowadays, 3 to 4 companies are working in US for this. To know about HD maps, I would say there are many discussions and sessions in the YouTube. You can see that is very interesting how they are using AI for HD maps. So they are coming up very soon. Next year they will be deployed. So that's all with me. So I'm open for questions now.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir. It was very much interesting to get these inputs on both the things, IIoT devices, artificial intelligence applied applications, usage of vehicles, and very interesting information about the automotive manufacturing conveyor system. So thank you. Thanks very much for presenting this.
Thank
So, yeah. So over to the audience. Any questions you can present on the chat box. Or you can speak out also. Sir, I have one question.
Sure. Yeah.
So you have given very much information about the AI-enabled applications. So in India, if you want to apply all these things, people have already started. But then, how much is the cost? Is the AI in automotive going to increase the cost of the manufacturing, or is it going to reduce it?
Yeah, very good question, sir. Because yeah, people will ask always automation or improvement at what cost?
Yeah.
And, yeah, so it is not, because there are two things. One is advancements in technology. That is one thing. That is why it is possible. Nowadays, we are getting, for all these applications, people are using multi-core microcontrollers. Generally, Renesas or NXP, they have brought multi-core. 6 to 8 cores are being used for camera-based applications, or even at least tri-cores are being used. So they are quite not expensive. And in addition, even semiconductor companies have come forward with algorithms. So these algorithms are built in. If you buy NVIDIA board or Renesas board, they are already coming with this. So they have to just integrate. So anyway, you use these algorithms or you don't use, their ready-made part of algorithm will be already coming on chip.
It's built in.
Matter of choosing the device, and they will be helping in development also. So that's why it is not that expensive. And other thing is, everybody knows, every supplier knows that automotives will not afford any extra cost. They are trying to save every rupee. They are even simple copper wires in the harness, they are measuring in millimeters, not because for safety reason as well, but they are very like they are saving every rupee on the car. So like they will not allow any price to increase for such things. So generally innovation is taking place, and most of the startups are working for these automotive AI applications. So there are everywhere in Pune also there are companies that are working on this.
Yes, thank you, sir. Thank you. So
I think one.
Yes,
Prakash, just so basically, I just wanted to, add here that as Mr. Aniruddha sir has mentioned, that unless the OEMs or their tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 suppliers show some interest in maybe solving their problems of whatever related to use of automation or AI, we alone or as a group cannot really develop some technologies or new products and services. There has to be some kind of demand from the OEM or the tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 suppliers. Then only probably some solutions can be thought of and offered to these various prospective customers. So I think the main focus should be on getting that demand from the various business organizations who are into either OEM supply chain or automotive supply chain or any other supply chain. And that's what I just wanted to add. So our focus should be on getting the demand first.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I have one question to you, Aniruddha sir.
Yes, sir.
Right now, many news are there because this automobile sector has been stuck because of the shortage in the semiconductors, right? These all the chips and all things because of some problems in that Korea and all other things. world
Right.
level global problem is there, and because of that many of the in the automobile sector that is stand still, because whatever the chips they are using, so because of the and they are just finding out the solution. So do you think they are going bit away from the AI for the automobile? Because of in India there, I don't think any infrastructure right now for providing all chips for these automobile. So is it impacting, do you think so?
Right. Yeah, there is a question by many people for this, and really we are suffering for that. And industry is expecting to return to normal by July next year. There are two reasons for this. One was this COVID-related things, and other was tension between China and Taiwan.
Okay.
So both of them cannot work alone. So China also understands that without Taiwan they cannot supply anything, and Taiwan also needs China. And to break for ice breaking, now Tata Group has come forward and they are now starting initiative for semiconductor manufacturing in India. But that will take at least 6 to 8 years to really start to that level. So they have started now. So in sometime in 2028, we will really start getting Indian chips. But till then, we have to depend on Taiwan and China and some other low-cost countries where they are currently making it. Indonesia is one of those. So basically, they have now realized that they cannot make it alone. So they are now compromising, and even though there are tensions, they are also working on this area. Second reason is this automotive industry generally makes rate contract for next 10 years. So generally, life of any car is 7 to 8 years. They will manufacture in mass. So that volume curve they already have at the time of quotation also, and they buy the parts in millions. In addition to that, they are storing the parts for multiple variants. So if any car manufacturer is there, they will have at least 4 to 5 variants at a time for same car, and they are making that number and multiple car segments. They are using trying to use same chips because software development becomes easy. So for example, if you go down into infrastructure of software like basic drivers or bootloaders or basic softwares, so they try to use similar components everywhere and try to increase the volume so that they can negotiate on the cost. So generally, many sub-dollar chips are used in small ECUs like window control, wiper control. So they are quite cheap, and they are trying to make common things and make increase the volume and reduce the cost. In that way, they have already made a stock of few years. So next 3 to 4 years, many companies will not really suffer. So big shot companies they have already made a stock because many components get obsolete after over the time, and that's why they keep stock of that so that their parts are not short and customer keeps getting service. So some brands are there, they will be known for their good service, and there will be never shortage of their spare parts. So they are taking care already, so that will not affect. And then due to improving environment worldwide plus Tata initiative to make semiconductors in India, they are expecting in July that will improve, and then over the time we'll get Indian chips as well.
Excellent.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Sir, Sriram Pense sir has one question.
Sure.
It is on the same line that you spoke now regarding this chip shortage.
Mhm.
So, will it affect the manufacturing in automobile industry?
Not really, because everyone wants to sell their products. So
Yes.
if capacity is there, even China cannot afford or we cannot afford not buying from them.
Yeah.
So we are selective now in that. So we are generally avoiding roadside Chinese products, but we cannot avoid buying a car. So those
Yeah.
who want those parts, they will buy it. Some people, especially Japanese people, they are quite against China. So before this project, I was working with Hitachi in Japan, and they have spent, their government has spent money or funded their companies in China to come out.
Oh,
Now, yeah, so Japanese are like that. So they have started, they have come to India and Indonesia and Taiwan. So, like that, there will be no shortage. Alternate parts will be available, there will be options, and there will be never a shortage for anything. So, currently, there was short time shortage for 6 months. Last 1 year it was, next 6 months it will be. But after July, people are saying half of next year, and then it will be normal.
So hopefully under this Atmanirbhar Bharat, we'll
Yeah.
have more hardware parks
Yeah.
to start this chip
Non-semiconductor
manufacturing.
definitely will get
Yes.
because COVID really helped us in making
Yes, yes.
improving Make in India thing. So people have
Correct,
started
correct.
doing import substitute products. That is like that. But only
Okay.
semiconductor had no other options, so that was a
Yeah.
different.
Sir, you have presented very well and given a complete overview on these uh, different technologies involved and also the commercial view of this. So, one curiosity I have that is on, say, what from the user point of view, can you throw a light on from user point of perspective the applications with AI for the car? One of them is a driverless, but
Yeah.
then what are the other facilities they are providing or going to provide?
Yeah, I'll give you one good example. Actually, I am currently studying the cybersecurity in automotive. So,
Oh,
not directly related to this, but how AI helps there.
hmm.
So, there was a research in US. So, I was reading about a research. So, they wanted to know the normal three people in a family. They will identify who is driving the car. So,
Oh,
car will understand who is driving the car. Okay, so they had taken data of 50 users on the same road condition of say
yeah.
25 kilometers. So 50 people took that car and drove on those 25-kilometer track and they noted data from all that track. So this
Oh,
data Google is already having huge data. Now they came to know that particular people have got habit of putting brakes like that. So in particular point they will put brake. If they see speed breaker, they will put brake in advance. So these are the
yeah.
habits. Okay, when you change the gears, what you
Yes.
do when something is there. Based on those habits, they could easily filter that data. And exactly the model was trained for just three people in family. And anybody else will try to drive that car will know that it is stolen car.
Oh,
So very interesting, but that kind of research, there is a lot of scope. So apart from hardware or physical devices to prevent the theft, this is intelligent algorithm. Nobody will notice that there is no device for that, but machine will know that this is not a regular driver.